What is up, everybody? This is Lyle, No Hippie Trucking and Transportation. If you're catching this on the replay, I'm going to wait for a few people to get in here. What's up, everybody? Barry, what's up, man? Leah, what's going on? I've been seeing you ripping and running up in that northeast area. I think you went down to Florida or something. I don't know. G80, what's up? Lenny, what's going on, man? Here you're on your way up to Newark, New Jersey from California. Anyway, I just wanted to come on here and just tell everybody how much I love Prime. I'm just joking. If you saw that video, you know what I'm talking about. David Boyd, what's up? Georgia Trucker, somebody put out, Trucker Richie Rich put out a video parody or some shit of me saying, "Hi, my name is Lyle. I just want to tell everybody how much I love Prime Inc." Yeah, Lenny, we're almost done with this. I'm not at liberty to speak about where I'm at right now, but we only have a little bit further to go. I cannot wait to get done with this. But all things considered, that's my boy back there, so it's been pretty fun. About as fun as it can be, you know what I'm saying? Man, I'm not gonna speak on him or anything like that, but I thought it was a little humorous. Georgia Trucker, yeah, he did it to me. Go ahead and look at like his channel. I think he did one on Driveline, then he did one on Jim C, and then he did one on me. Alright, G80 headed up to Kent, Washington, picks up Monday, headed back east. Jeremy, listen, I know that you're one of those people, but I've been here 6 years, and there's never been any time that I've complained about the revenue that any truck I'm driving is doing. And I'm not complaining now. I mean, if you really look at it, I spoke about my numbers, you know, I'd probably upwards of $20,000 more than that in the last 4 weeks or something like that. Listen, I don't have anything to complain about. And like I said, it's a nice little infusion of cash. I don't need that. Anybody that's watched my channel from the beginning knows when I first came out, I was going to go company. And I said, all I need to make is $1,500. I'm not at that point in my life where I'm like really trying to stack up a bunch of money. But even then, I've never complained about the money. I've always done well. And I'm going to tell a story real quick. Let me get through these comments. D's, what's up, Springfield Terminal? My girl Slime Pack, what's up? Have you seen this guy trucks like 60,000 subscribers on his new channel? You know, I have seen that, and that is probably along the lines of what he should have been doing in the first place, because as far as being a trucker, he's never really done all that well. And now I think he's in the right lane for himself. Jeremy Griggs, you're already rich. You don't need Prime. I'm not rich, Jeremy. I'm comfortable, but I'm not rich. But here's a story, okay? And I think this might kind of... Let me turn this truck off. This kind of might... So back when I was selling cars, there was always... This is back in like the mid-90s and shit like that. Up to about 98, 99. You'd always hear stories about this guy named... Well, first of all, there were always these guys that sold like a ton of cars at the dealership, and you're like, I don't know how they did it. And then you hear these mythical stories about this guy named Izzy, and he was like from Israel or Iran or some shit like that, and he was like a military person. Then he came over here and started selling cars, and he was like making like $20,000 a month back then. And you never really knew what to believe or not believe or anything like that. And then I finally worked, the last place I worked at was this Range Rover dealership, and he worked right next door at this Infiniti dealership. So we'd be over there talking to him and everything, and I mean, he was an extreme example, but sometimes there's these people that could just, as far as car sales go, were just able to do shit that a lot of people weren't able to, and they couldn't explain why they did it or anything like that. And I'm not saying I'm like that as far as Prime goes or anything like that, but I think that there's people that do well and there's people that don't. And I can't explain why I do well. I think I might be lucky, first of all. It could be because of my fleet manager. It could be because of my small business unit, the sales team that I'm involved with or whatever. But I don't know. I've just been lucky in that money's never been a concern as far as how much is coming in every month. All right, Georgia Trucker. This is a Super Trucker, Lyle, and he just loves Prime. Man, listen, I think he kind of took it light on me, and I'm kind of happy because I thought I was going to have to be like Deion Sanders. I thought I was going to have to be like, I'm trying to take the high road, but I just don't know the address. All right, Lynn, hope all is good out there. You trucking? When do you expect yourself to go home to your wife and son back in Colorado? Okay, stay safe. Look forward to your homecoming live. Boy, I cannot wait to get on that bourbon when I get home. As soon as I'm done with him, I might stop at the terminal, get a few things done with my truck that are going to be cheaper to get done there, and then head back home. But it's going to be it's going to be soon. And I'm going to be gone at home so long, I'm going to need Shamarcus to come out of retirement and train me, because I'm going to be gone at least 26, 27 days. And Shamarcus has like 2 or 3 trucks paid off right now. Tim Travels, I was about to call you today, but we got a little busy real quick. But we were talking about you earlier today. Me and 412. But I haven't cooked in like 6 years, seriously. I used to have I still have a barbecue cooking channel. Go check out No Hippie Barbecue and Cooking. And I used to do like 3 or 2 recipes. Well, let's see. If every 7 days I was probably putting out about 8 videos for a long time. And ever since I got into trucking, and it would be all kinds. If you check out that channel, it's all different kinds of shit, not just barbecue. But I haven't cooked since I got into trucking. And when I go home this time, I am gonna fire up. I got like 8 smokers. I'm gonna just fire up my Weber kettle, throw a big brisket or some big old dinosaur ribs on it, and smoke those. And maybe I'll probably just do that. But I finally kind of have that itch to do that all of a sudden. Let me come back here and grab my phone, because I don't think can somebody leave a comment right now so I can see if something pops up, because I don't know if they're coming through. I might have to go back to my other phone. For some reason, not all the comments come through. All right, let me go grab my other phone real quick. Oh, okay, never mind. Dee's said, hey, all right. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do when I go home this time. Craig, what's going on? I'm just trying to make it down the home stretch. I mean, it's really ridiculous that he needs to be on this truck. You know what I'm saying? If they're gonna give the trainers the leverage to say this guy needs to stay in training because he's not learning the job that well, they should at least give us that equal leverage to say, you know what, he doesn't need any more training. I mean, seriously, this guy trained me, and it's not just that. He was probably one of the best drivers on my fleet manager's fleet back then. You know what I mean? So it's kind of ridiculous. We almost hit a deer last night, or he almost hit a deer, and we could see it like ahead of us, maybe like a quarter of a mile ahead of us, and I happened to be in the front seat, and it was right when we were about to switch. He's like, you know, what they'll tell you is just go ahead and hit the deer because they're not going to be the ones that's sitting down and paying all, you know. Man, he's like, should I hit it? And I was like, hell no. So we kind of did some evasive maneuvers, whatever, and didn't hit the deer. The deer may have ran into the back of the trailer, but it didn't hit my truck. So, but that was just outside of Kansas City, kind of in that Olathe area. Cocoa, Florida. That's about as far south as I want to go in Florida. All right, D's, they gave him 30,000 miles. Like, really? Really? See, that's ridiculous. I mean, really the only thing that he's probably need to learn was the new geotab and all that, and then some of the new procedures as far as lumpers go. But I haven't had a lumper fee in like over a month and a half, so I haven't even had a chance to go over the, you know, that new system with him. But it has been a good, you know, you know, here's what it is, okay? Anybody that watched my videos from a long time ago, I said, you know what? When you come out of training, your trainer's going to back a certain way and you're going to back a different way. And I said, me and my trainer back totally different. Said that even way back when. And still to some degree today we do that, but it's always good seeing somebody that has a different approach, because now you're just adding to your repertoire. You know what I mean? So it's been good from that aspect. Craig took himself out of service till Monday. Got to go to Thermo King, no APU. Well, I tell you, that is a pain in the ass in this heat. I was trying to wait for him to give me a... Man, did you see all that rain up in like New Jersey? That was crazy. All right, D's, I knew a guy that gave him 10,000 miles and he never went through Prime's training. This really made no sense. Seriously. WE Nation, what's up from New Mexico? We just delivered in Albuquerque, New Mexico just the other day. It was a small dock, and you could tell drivers that knew what they were doing and what the ones that didn't. You know, you read the reviews, and people are like, you have to blindside back and all. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You just had to know what you were doing when you got in there. And there was a guy that pulled in straight in. So essentially what you're supposed to do was pull in, there's a gate, make a hard right, and then back your trailer around like this, and then set up for a regular back. But, you know, a lot of people that are new in trucking just don't have that, just can't see 3 dimensions like that, you know what I mean? Because I can admit it, I didn't when I first got out on my own. I probably would have done the same thing. But there should be some discretion when it comes to these miles. And I know that there have been times when they've given people less miles. I know this. This should be one of those times. So at least we have one of these mornings where we don't have to wake up. You know, we can wake up when we wake up. Not really all that necessary. You know, me and him delivered in New Mexico back 6 years ago, and it was a tight ass dock. Not as tight as this one. I think this was on like Broadway or something like that, somewhere down there. Yeah, they always listen. They always talk about how the freight is up week over week and year over year, and then while they're saying that, they're sending out they're sending out another message at the same time saying freight slow this week. We're in the dog days of summer, you know, whatever. Come on now, it's one or the other. All right, D's, if you were a trainer at Prime, they should consider less miles. Listen, he's going back to his old fleet manager's fleet, who knows him and how he runs and all that stuff. And he was a trainer, so I mean, you should look at it like, not only was he a trainer, but he was on my fleet before, and I know how he performed. Smithfield and Lincoln, Nebraska, everything is complicated about that. Getting in and out of that shipper is harder than the docks. All right, somebody is down there with some Japanese or something. I can't read that. Although I'd like to. If that is Japanese, I spent some time in Japan, Mount Fuji, Tokyo, whatnot. Back in like 88, 89. But I just got a 70 yesterday or the day before yesterday. He's getting his, or 34. He's getting his 34 tonight. Well, it should be over tomorrow sometime. So we should have all the hours to do anything they need us to do. And I'm really not trying to hear nothing about, no, we don't need to do anything. We need to bring him back. I need to get home. But it's funny, whenever we start talking about shit, he's like, but Lyle, I guarantee you peace of mind. So that's his saying. He guarantees me peace of mind. They have plenty of trucks waiting on him. Yeah, that's what I heard. You know, he's a Freightliner guy. Not because, you know, not because he doesn't like no peas, just because he's used to a Freightliner. And now that I got these new shocks on this truck, he's like, it's like riding on a cloud right now. But listen, Schmarkus, it doesn't matter how many trucks they got there or don't have there. All they're worried about is one less team out there is really what they're looking at. All right, just got a new Freightliner. Been in it 3 days now. Fixing to leave tomorrow. Congratulations on that. I did speak to a few people out there. Man, I talked to so many people within this last, 2 weeks. Talked to a brand new guy who was delivering his first load in Atlanta, Georgia. Man, I'm telling you, I'm not sure I would want that as my first load. Talked to another guy. Him and his wife are coming through Prime. He just upgraded. His wife is behind him. And he was talking to me. He didn't know I had a YouTube channel or anything like that. And he's like, I'm as green as that grass over there. You know, you got any advice? I was like, man, go through driver lineup. Don't bite off more than you could chew. If they got a boring load, take it. Don't be trying to go to New Jersey, go to Kansas, Nebraska, something like that on your first load. You know, get your feet under you, then start doing that shit. Craig, the new Pete's gonna ride like a Freightliner with that wheelbase. It will, but the suspension is still better on them. Look at the suspension on a Peterbilt and look at the suspension on a Freightliner. Two totally different situations. So it will be more bumpy, but it won't be as bumpy. All right, D's got a new Freightliner turn in. What's your thoughts on a fleet owner operator staying in the state where they start their business in to do business? All right, hold on. What's your thoughts on a fleet owner operator staying in the state where they start their business and to do business? I'm not exact. You'd have to clarify that question a little bit more. I guess that depends on a lot. A lot of that depends on the state. And I know I don't understand the question exactly, but I was talking to somebody on the phone and I was like, why is, he's like saying, I'm Lyle and I love Prime Inc. and all this shit. And I'm like, listen, Prime works for me for a number of different reasons. They got a terminal by my house. So there's no, drop yard, whatever. There's no issues with me getting in and out. I live in Colorado, so if I was to get a local job or regional, I'd be fucking with these mountains all the time. So Walmart and all that stuff's out of the mix. Prime works for me. I'm not saying it's the best company or, whatever. I think there was a little bit more of an emotional attachment a few years ago. Even now, if it's just going to be purely business, you got to deal with a bunch of shit. I think they're about to, I was just talking to somebody, and I don't even want to put it out there, but they were talking about some stuff they thought might be coming down the pike, and I was like, I don't know if I can handle that one. But, Prime works for me where I'm at. If I lived in Texas, or if I lived in some of these other states, it might be a totally different situation. All right, Slime Pack's first load was in Indiana. I think my first load might have been going somewhere in New Mexico. It wasn't that Walmart. As a matter of fact, I think my first load was New Mexico, but it wasn't like that Walmart. And then I picked up at the place I picked up at the other day. There's a cheese place in Clovis, New Mexico. That might have been my second load out there. So I had two easy-ish kind of loads to do right off the bat. Although I-40 was a little icy and everything, because this would have been like late December, back in the, late December 2019. All right, D's drove a new Peterbilt. It was nice. It can't be as nice as that long wheelbase we got on these older ones. Trucker Kiersey, what's going on? Say I start a business in New Mexico and wanted to stay in New Mexico. That would be ideal. I'm not sure if New Mexico's a place. New Mexico's a lot like Colorado, but worse. There are very few places as bad as New Mexico on I-40 in the winter. I'm not sure I'd want to be ripping and running up and down that all winter long. Yeah, Southwest Cheese. They got a shower and everything. I was like, you know what? That was, that was a nice little place to pick up. It got me in and out real quick. Stuck in Wisconsin. Boy, they got some good truck stops in Wisconsin. I love Wisconsin. Love Wisconsin. Love Minnesota. More in the summer than in the winter. Lucky for me, I'm in southeast New Mexico. Yeah, any new people that happen to be watching this video, you need to, this new GPS system, I'm going to tell you what. If you go to your Play Store, Google, or not Google, but if you go Android or iPhone, there's a trucker GPS called Truck Map. Craig, who is in here, put me up on that. That shit is accurate as hell. You can just start putting in the address and it'll automatically populate it. And then when you click on it, it'll say building or truck entrance. If there's a truck entrance that's already been put in there. If not, you're able to kind of zoom in on the truck entrance. Man, that thing saved me yesterday. Or, oh, man, these days are blending together. We picked up, or we were dropping off in Abilene, Texas. Man, this GPS app, sometimes, if I was brand new, I'd have been all fucked. I'm just telling you. This GPS was trying to have me doing all kinds of wild stuff. You know, but... And then it was, you know, this new GPS, this is gonna put people in bad situations. Like, when it's telling you to go down Cemetery Boulevard, that should be a sign right there. Cemetery Boulevard. Or I forgot where we were at. We were in upstate New York, and it was trying to have us do all kinds of crazy shit. So that Truck Map GPS is good. And Kiersey, one thing that I had to do was delete that damn driver eye off my phone. The other day I did a video and it cut off, like when I was in the middle of talking, and the reason it cut off and why I couldn't edit it on my phone was that that driver eye was taking up. So with the driver eye, I had 98% of my storage of it, or it was taken up. Once I deleted it, it went down to 35. That has to go. So I took that off my phone. If I need to watch it, I'll watch it on this thing. But, you know, what has been told to me is Super Bowl teams get better because they watch their film. And I'm like, okay. All right. Made the mistake of following Copilot instead of Garmin to St. Louis to Russellville, Arkansas. Hey, when you're fucking with Arkansas, I will never go through the middle of that. I will always go around 44 to 49 or some shit like that. I will never... 65? Man, I made that mistake one time. That's all I needed, was going through Branson and all. No. And do not follow that Copilot in Pennsylvania, Maryland, upstate New York. None of that. It's going to have you trying to go tobogganing through all these state forest parks. No. Follow your Garmin, or good thing Peterbilt, you can like kind of trip plan or route plan on the GPS and the Peterbilt. I'm sure you could do it on most, you know, other GPSs, but it's a little bit easier to see on this GPS. But man, when this Copilot first came out, I'm coming through North Carolina, Tennessee, all that kind of stuff. And I was like, this route, oh, I knew. Okay, so my Garmin was telling me to go this one way. And I was like, you know what? Let me just, I wanted to see what this Copilot was thinking. So I was like, let me just follow the Copilot. Man, they say, you know, being a trucker is boring. You see the same shit over and over again. I've seen more new shit since I've been, well, when I first got this Copilot than I'd ever seen before that. Because I saw every fucking little ass town off every state highway and everything that you could ever see. All right, Kiersey made his PSD take 7 and 65. Yeah, I don't know about that. I wouldn't have the nerves for that one. Big 1400 Arkansas, some serious back roads. Boy, I'm telling you. I took that bobtail one time. I was like, because I took 65 or whatever that was, loaded one time. I was like, I'll never do it again. And then I dropped off like in Arkansas. I was like looking at those miles. I was like, man, I'm bobtail. Even bobtail, it was like bad. West Virginia, boy. Yeah, that co-pilot, man, I'm telling you, that co-pilot is, and they have the nerve to be saying it was user. Anybody watch that meeting where they said it was user error as to why people were getting taken off route and all that stuff? That's what they said. And I was like, no, because I was in Florida. As a matter of fact, I might have been in Cocoa Beach, Florida. Maybe I wasn't. I was at a Publix somewhere in Florida. And the co-pilot's like, make a right and you'll arrive at your destination, or make a left. And I was like, I could see the Publix right there, but maybe, maybe they got a dry side over here. But I was like, let me just make this right just in case, because I could always turn around here if I made the wrong turn. No, it was trying to take, anyway. Well, I'm telling you. Whew. I think I'm actually gonna have to do a video. Somebody had asked me to do a video on tips that I would give a TNT student. You feel the difference when you cross from Arkansas to Missouri. Hey, I don't even mess with it anymore. I will go way out of route. I will go 49 to 44. I mean, I'll take that whole long way around. I do not mess around going between, going in the middle between those two. Nope, I'm staying on main highways. And same thing in Pennsylvania. You ain't going to catch me off of them little off-brand highways out there. I remember one time I did it. I was looking at my, routes, and I was like, I wanted to get as close as I could to the place I was picking up the next day. And I was like, well, if I don't take this short route, there's no way I'm gonna make it if I take the other one. So let me just go ahead and take this short route. Man, it was like sleeting and snowing. Them big ass snowflakes be about this big. And when they got them downgrades in Pennsylvania, like 10 miles an hour and all that shit, man, I was so pissed off about that. I was actually mad. And I couldn't cuss at anybody but myself. All right, D's, what is the first bourbon I'm going to sip on when I get home? My son bought me, my wife bought me a bottle of Castle and Key, 6-year, I think it's 101 proof. My son bought me, it's not a bourbon, but a Knob Creek, I forget the age statement on that rye. But then he bought me a special bourbon that he didn't tell me, so I don't know what that is. So I'm not exactly sure which one I'm going to get on after that. But if you want some humor, that first live when I get home, when I'm not used to drinking that way, those are usually kind of like a little out there. All right, when you were in New Mexico, did you ever pick up in Hobbs or Roswell? I've never picked up in either of those places, but I did drive by Roswell. I've delivered in Pottsville, Pennsylvania a few times, and you got the Walmart, but then I forget the name of the other grocery stores out there. That place was awesome. And then I went to another place that was a little bit... there's another place out there. But yeah, I've been out there at Pottsville. I don't really hate Pennsylvania. 412, I was just talking about you earlier today in our conversation about how I was going to be... I tried to take the high road, but I just don't know the address. Yeah, man, we got a pre-plan, and this is something new people, if you happen to be new watching this on the replay, whatever. I stopped to get reefer fuel because I wanted to have it full when I dropped it off. I sent a message to dispatch and said ETA to the 90 is such and such a time. That's all I said. Sent it in, and then 5 minutes later, I got a pre-plan. Can't really speak much about that, but yeah. No, hey, 412, I said that's what I was thinking about doing, but he didn't go in on me like, listen, if it would have been like the Jim C one or a Driveline one, I couldn't, I'd have to take that one personal. But this one was a little funny, so, I had to give him that. Redner's Warehouse. No, it was some grocery place. It was right around the corner from the Walmart. All right, mix. Should try Florida Cognac 18 year. Woo, how much is that? Because there's some stuff that I'm going to want to try that, we're still going to be in that $90 a bottle and less, so I'm not sure. That sounds expensive right there. Craig said that's because Sean is covering. You said it, not me. All right, Shamarcus, the Driveline one was pretty low. Man, listen, I'm not worried about anybody else's shit. That's up for everybody else to either listen to or not listen to. I agree with that. But I mean, anybody that knows me knows that even if it was something that was like that, and I was getting downright clowned or something like that, man, sometimes shit is just going so good that you don't even fucking worry about it. Like, what do I got to be mad about? You know what I'm saying? All right, you better hope you stay out another week or so before you get that liquor in you. If you was to go home in 2 days, start drinking, you might be on the shit. Yeah. I think there was a little restraint that was used in that, so that's why I said I'm not, I'm not taking that personal. But Weiss, that's what it was. I think that's where I dropped off it in Pottsville. Weiss, whatever it is. Romeo is burning how them Broncos. Man, I haven't watched football since they started playing all soft and all that touch football shit. I was a Raider fan, so a Raider fan living in Denver, and I really haven't been able to tolerate football since probably 2007. I remember watching a game. I was watching a game, and somebody hit the Raider quarterback, and they called a personal foul, and I'd already started getting tired of football anyway, and I was like, I can't watch this shit. So ever since then, I haven't really been watching football because it's like bullshit. Like, give me that 70s, 80s, and 90s football any day of the week. Maybe early 2000. Thank you. Listen, has anybody ever wondered why every big city you go through got a fucking big ass curve in the middle of it? Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, Kansas City, you could just go Cleveland. I mean, you can just go down the list. Like damn near every big city you go through got a big ass curve in the middle of it. I don't know what made me think about that. I was driving through one a few days ago, and I was like, Jesus. Gotta get you some Pappy Van Winkle. Listen, I'm not that damn stupid to spend that much money on some damn bourbon. You still moving Cargill? I think we still move Cargill. If some shit was to go down, that might be a place I would look at pulling for. Like, if something happened, I would not be going to Landstar. I would not be doing none of that. I might be doing that, power only for like Cargill or National Beef or something like that. Even though I hate meat plants, but Wise Markets, okay. Romanowski played for the Broncos and the Raiders. Yeah, it was good. Hey, football was good when Romanowski was with the Raiders and the Broncos. So it was a little bit after that. I think football started going downhill about 2007, 2006. It's like touch football. $412 talking about the Baltimore Ravens. So you might be too young to remember this. The Baltimore Ravens did have a good defense, but not as good as the fucking Chicago Bears in 1985. That was a defense right there. That was probably the best defense of all time. 85 Bears. Cleveland, Dead Man's Curve. Hey, I got woke up real quick in Cleveland and Pittsburgh. Going through Cleveland, it was icy as shit. I don't think I was going more than 15, 20 miles an hour going through that curve, and boy, I was lucky I made it out of that one. And kind of the same thing in Pittsburgh one time. I'm trying to think, there's more cities. Those are just the ones that come to the top of my head. Providence. Hey, I try not to get up to Providence all that much. You are lucky to get me up past New York. Well, Pennsylvania, let's say that. Nashville's another. Well, Nashville's not quite as bad as like Kansas City. When they got them like 45 mile or 35 miles an hour, shit, I mean, we could just sit here. I mean, I was thinking about the other day when I was driving, man, there's a ton of cities that just have those big ass curves right in the middle of the city. Yeah, 412 right there. I think Kansas City snuck up on me back when I was new one time. I mean, it has the speed limit sign and everything like that. But when you're brand new, you aren't ripping and running through no, curves like, you are later on. So, I might have been doing 35, but it might have felt like 75. St. Louis. If I had a map in front of me, I could go down a whole bunch of them. Chattanooga. Oh, Birmingham. That's another one. Tampa. I don't get down to Tampa that much, so I don't know about that. Atlanta, see, that's not like a serious curve. Like, you could hit that curve at the wrong speed and have a problem. That's kind of like a normal curve out there. Yeah, there's another place I just went through that had like it was somewhere up there that had like a speed limit sign, like 35, 45 miles an hour. Up, it might have been DC, but if it wasn't, it was up in that area. Man, there was a guy that was backing over here a little earlier today. And, he's a new dude and everything. And I'm going to tell you, that's somebody that is persistent. And I had to give him credit because I couldn't have done it. He probably spent 35 minutes getting into this spot. And there were plenty of places he could have went to that had 2 spots next to it and all that. I think he was just practicing or whatever, and I got to give him credit for that because at some point I got to abort the mission. As a matter of fact, I just did that a couple weeks ago. I was out in South Carolina at a Love's. It worked out to my benefit because there was a quick trip across the street that had better park and all that, but I'd set up wrong because I didn't see the spot that was available, so I was already kind of discombobulated, and I tried to hit that shit twice and there was a line starting up behind me. I was like, you know what, I just drove around, bounced out. So anyway, man, I'm about to get off of here. I'm going to try to get up at like 5 in the morning and start driving, but I'm going to wake up when I wake up. I might set an alarm. I might wake up when the alarm goes off, but I got like, let me see. I got 200 miles to go. We don't pick up till Monday morning. I just want to get there early. I was maybe thinking about taking a shower there tomorrow, but I was like, no, let me just do it today so I'm not too stressed out about it. Leave my options open because we all got credits at everywhere. So if I have to, I might stop at the TA. As a matter of fact, I might stop at the TA anyway and get up on some of that Popeyes on your ass right quick. So yeah, go to Trucker Richie Rich's page and check out the video he did on me. And it's hilarious. Anyway, I appreciate you guys stopping by. No hippie truck and transportation. I'm about to get out of here, take my ass to sleep, get that good sleep where you be slobbering and shit. But I'll check you guys out later. I'm out.